trying to get him. Half my paperwork's ruined again because he's out tramping the yard when he should be here to give me authority.
What's coming off around here?
If you guys playing railroad anymore today, there's a landslide, a new cut.
Hi, and welcome to episode 10 of Fun with HO Scale Stuff. This is going to be the final, the actual completion of the very first benchwork. I've got everything lined up, and I expect to be able to complete it and within the time frame of this particular video. But before I go into showing the benchwork the final build, I wanted to share a caution with everybody. So let me run that right now. Well, I thought that it would be helpful if I pointed this out, that there is a attempt to convince people to call a particular phone number. Evidently, that purpose is to somehow scam you out of your money. So it begins with this message that you see here. And what they do is they hijack the channel's logo of the channel that you may have commented on and add this their personal account. And believe it or not, this whole thing, text plus and then a phone number, is an account name, not anything to do with the channel that you left your message on. So if you see anything like this, oh, thanks for watching and commenting, baloney, and then it says you've been selected from comments as a winner, trust me, you're not being a winner, you're being taken. Be careful, don't respond, stay away from this. So here's my plan for this. Is going to be the lower platform of the benchwork, and I created this little template here so that the intention is to place this in the very corner of the platform and then trace the inside to give me the correct offset, and then I'm going to place it on that line that I've created and then trace this out entirely. And what it should do is give me an outline of what the leg is going to need for clearance over in the corner. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to point out was I bought these screws. I had great advice to screw everything. These are a bit, I think, too small. Like if you look at the thickness of the wood that I'm using, the screw, if I drill through, is just a tad bit too small. These are number 6, 1.5 inch wood screws, and I heard wood screws, not deck screws, so I'm going with that. But I think I can drill a slightly larger hole, tap that for these screws, and at the 1.5 inch, I think I had looked at the depth of the wood. Oh, sorry, I don't have that piece with me, but it's about right. 1.5 inches, just about right. It'll be fine. It'll get lots of penetration into the wood below. The other thing I wanted to mention was actually these seem to be quite good for the feet because of their size. I mean, here you see the screw is a nice fit on the holes that they provided, and there's plenty of penetration by the length, so that should hold. That should hold it very well. I might need a shorter screw, but this is a number 6 is certainly the right screw size for the wood screws to hold these in place. Oh, and the other thing I quickly point out is that I have to choose between using the 4 holes on this part of the foot mount or the bottom, because if I use the bottom, it obviously blocks one of the holes, and I don't think it would add that much strength. You know, the weight's going to be sitting down on the flat part, which was my intention in buying these, is that the leg weight is down on this piece, and this is there. The backing up against the leg will hold it in place fine. So the next thing, I'm going to start tracing out, like I say, with my template. I'm going to initially drill holes at the corners of where the template marking is, and then I'll use my saber saw to cut the piece of wood out to open up the space where the leg will come through. Also, just a little bit of a further thought sharing process here for you. I'm going to use wood clamps, the clamps that you've seen me using. When I pass the legs through this lower platform, then I'm going to clamp beneath them to hold them in place. And I think what that's going to do then is make a stable enough structure where I can drill and bolt the top platform onto the frame. And of course, with lag bolts, I heard that too, as I believe lag bolts are the best, so I'll have to have it. I'll have to have it in place and level though, so that when I do that, I get the drill to make correct holes I don't want to damage the legs or the platform that goes on top. So stick with me. Next thing you'll see me doing is some cutting and drilling. Not in the opposite order, drilling and cutting. By the way, this saber saw I've had for years. You see? And at some point, the saw, this piece down here, is supposed to be tightened by, there's a screw that goes in here. And I had lost the screw somehow. It was gone. So I went digging through my junk drawer of hardware and actually found a screw that would screw into the threaded part inside of here. I had to take the whole cover. This half of the cover just came out with all of these different Phillips head screws that I just took them out and lifted this off. And of course the screw I found was a little bit too long, so I had to add a bolt to a nut to the end of it as an offset, so that it would push as I tightened this up. This piece of the it's like a hollow steel tube that actually is used to clamp up against the plate that goes inside of the shaft. This swivels. I guess the idea was to let you make angle cuts with this, but that's a large order of trying to make an angle cut with a saber saw. I mean, maybe somebody who's an expert with tools like this could do it, but I just made it tighter than all get out so that I get a flat cut. So yeah, I had to fix that screw. Okay. Okay, so we got a holy board. I'll transfer the power over to my saber saw. Let's make it out. I think it's all right. Let's find out. I'll put this in here. Okay. Goes down through nice. One thing I did, stupid, is I used this as the gauge for this. It would have been fine if I would have stopped at the size that this is rather than the size that this is. So now I've got holes, but it don't really matter because this is going to be on the bottom. It's nothing but a shelf, and so I don't really care. But yeah, I do dumb stuff like that all the time. And that fit down through there really nice. I mean, where it is, that's perfect. That's great because it's going to get fastened with lag bolt here on the side. And yeah, I'm really pleased. Now I got to do 3 more at every corner, but I'm going to first mark my template so I don't overcut again. Silly stuff like that. Okay, well I finished cutting all the holes in the corners. So, and of course now they're the right size. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. It's really not a problem. So I said, this particular platform is going to be the shelf platform on the Benchwork. It's going to be about 1 foot off the floor. And I'll just quick show that there's the other and there's the third new one. And yeah, they're cut nicely, and I checked them all with the legs, and they pass through nicely, so it's very well done. What I've done is I got these bolts. There's a bunch of them right there, and this bolt was selected. I'm hoping I did it correctly. It's going to be passed through the hole made by that drill right there, and it's slightly smaller than the drill bit. So ideally, that's great, so I don't have to hammer them through a hole. Then I've got lock washers and nuts for each one of them, and of course that'll go on the inside. And I'm hoping I don't need a washer on the outside. Well, I wouldn't think so. Then I'm going to crank them down good and tight. Oh, and then I went to the hardware store. I really wanted to get some number 8 1.5 inch, and they didn't have them. I mean, it's like lulz. Like, why don't they have 1.5 inch number 8s? But they didn't, and so I got the next best thing was 1 1/4. So we got 1 1/4. They're not what I like, but let's take a look here. You can see that, you know, if the screw is tight on the top, the penetration is not bad. You know, it's about 1 inch, I guess, about roughly, give or take. So they'll be all right, but it's not what I wanted. I wanted 1.5, but you got to sometimes just work with what you got. So there's that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to strike a line down here on every one on all the edges. I'm going to strike a line that will be the center of the board, you know, the frame itself, and then that'll be where I'll place my screws on that line. So each screw will be I guess I'll start at the corner, and I got to worry about splitting this wood, but they'll be tapped out. They'll drill a tap hole and then put the screws in, and I'll put them like every foot. You know, that would be same thing going the length of this 8-foot board. So they'll be every foot. And there was one other thing I'll add quickly while I'm out here in the garage is that I started thinking about supports So, I call them anti-wobble supports. But I want to put a 45 piece across from the leg to the top, and they're going on the inside. So, and I got this off the another person's YouTube video. I forget who it was now, but so the leg will get going down, off the top. These are only going to go on the top platform, so the bottom's won't need it. But on the top, the leg going down is going to have, a piece that will be on the angle from the leg up to here on the inside. And so what I'll need to do, because as you can see, here's the leg on the inside of the leg, and it's going to attach to that, coming in, and then that's going to go to the inside of this piece. But that one, you can see there's an offset. So in order to fix that, oh gosh, where is it? Okay, I've got blocks. So I've got these blocks, and what I'll do is I'm going to put a block on the inside of the thing so that the angle piece will mount to the angle piece will mount to the block on the inside, and then of course on the inside of the leg. So it should work out okay. And then I'll put one on every one of the legs, on 4 legs. So I got some pretty junky wood. I'll show you. I don't even know where I got this. This is kind of a leftover, but it's this piece right here. And like I say, it's pretty wobbly. Like, I'll lay it out and show it to you. It's like, it's an 8-foot piece, so I'll be cutting it up. And I have 2 of these. I have no idea where I got them. But you can see, you're looking at that, and yeah, it's got some wobbletations. And so, what I'll try to do is I'll try and cut those supports, the angle supports, out of the straightest possible piece. But once you start chopping it up, I don't think the arch was pretty long over the length of that 8-foot board. So, the shorter pieces being cut out will be relatively straight. So I'm not too worried about that. So we'll see how that goes. The next thing you're going to see is a line, and I'll show you a few screws being cut in just for fun, and then I'll screw the whole thing down as advised. That was pretty good advice. And by the way, thank you for that. And of course, I'll be drilling some holes then next and putting lag bolts in. So a change in plan. I realized originally I was going to use this tool to strike a line along the edges for nail placements or screw placements, pardon me. But what I did was I realized that was a bit over the top. So what I did was I took this template I had made and I put a pencil mark that would indicate the center. And so using that, I can go to any position and make a mark for the screw hole, and that it's a lot easier. So what I'll just simply do is just measure out my 1-foot distances and then just simply drill these holes straight up without using this guy. But this is just over the top. So change of plan. Okay, there's one and many to go. I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, so the screws are in, and I put 1 screw every foot on the top of the platform. And then I also put 1 screw in the side where all the framing took place. And the framing has 1 screw, and there's 1 there, and etc. throughout the whole frame. And the same thing with the other frame. They're both done. That one's the top frame, and this is the shelf frame, this one right here. So the next thing I want to do is to put the legs through here and clamp it, and then start mounting the top frame. Okay, come here. All right, well, the first thing I want to point out here, okay, we got this up on top. Now the legs are made so that there's a long side and a short side because of the overlap here. And the short sides I got placed on this, in this vein, in this alignment, and the long sides are on that alignment. What I don't like about it, and why if I build another one of these, I'm going to reverse that, because I want to put the bolt through so that I can tighten it. I can't do that going through the short side because a good portion of the short side is taken up by the long piece, butted up against the other side. So lesson learned. Okay, I'll be careful to do it, the other way next time. And in this case, then I'm going to be forced to secure the leg with a bolt going through here. And why is that an issue is because if I put another benchwork up against this one, I'm going to have to countersink that bolt so that it's flush. And I don't like doing that because it thins the wood, which is already kind of thin. It's just a 1x2. So, but I have to do that. The other thing I point out too here, while we're looking at this corner, is when I put the screw in from the top, I heard a crack. And when I looked at the board, apparently this screw going down in split the board all the way back to about here somewhere. So I used 2 screws on this side. Well, I clamped it first to close it up, and then I put the screws in, and I took the clamp off. But this, hopefully these 2 screws will keep it tight and secure, and that crack's not going to go any farther. So this then is the height. See that? I can lean on it. This is the height of for the actual railroad. Now it'll be a little thicker because I'm going to be putting a foam board on top of this, and of course that's going to raise it up, and then there'll be scenery. But this is the top platform for the benchwork. Now in the event, and this one here, let me make sure you can see it. No, you can't. So we'll move it down. Now, there. So now on this platform here, the idea is to put this all the way down, only about a foot off. So you can see why, where this is positioned, it would be possible for me to add a second level for hidden track if I wanted to, because I could just put some curtains along here to hide it. But if I need access, I'll just pull the curtains open and I'll have access to whatever's down here on storage. So I don't plan doing this right away. Now my first effort is to get this platform here at this level, and then to get this platform down about a foot off the floor. But I had a struggle to get it up here. And I guess it's time for me to consider the bolts. So I'll bolt this one first. Of course, this is the garage, so whatever I do out here, I have to undo, take everything down the basement, and then reassemble it. Now I'm up in the air about whether I should paint this. I know paint would protect it from changes in humidity and temperature, but with the screws, which is, great advice, to put the screws into it. Probably, share your opinion, but I think that the screws are going to be sufficient to make this rigid. I think it'll hold it up pretty well. So anyway, here's where we're at. Well, after thinking about it and, sleeping on it, I decided what I wanted to do was come back and make new cuts to actually correct the legs, because I really wanted the long side of the leg I want the long side of the leg on this side so that the bolts come through from the front and back and not the sides. I'm going to bolt the upper leg first, and then I'm going to lower the bottom shelf down to where it should be, and I'm going to bolt that. And I say that's going to be about a foot off. And then I'm going to fabricate and install the angle brackets, which will take a little while because we're going to have to put a block on the inside of this piece so that the angle bracket will go from the inside here to that block that I place in here. I don't think anybody needs to see me do all that. It's not going to be very interesting. So I'll show you what I've done as soon as it's finished, and that'll pretty much wrap up this episode, building the benchwork. So the benchwork is complete. All of the bracing is installed, and as I said, the bottom platform is just for storage. I may eventually add another deck, but another platform here. But the top platform is for the service yard for the model railroad. And you see all of the brace work is removable. It's all bolted in. The side bracing didn't have space for bolts, so I just screwed it in, and it's working fine. It's nice and rigid. So all of the plans for the platform were really close, but a lot of changes took place. I started compiling some notes, and here we have like some of the list of bill of material, and so I can build another one of these platform or benchwork exactly the same way. So I took careful notes. So I've got notes about leg holes, and this is it shows the construction of the platform itself with the holes were drilled in there for wires on the top platform, not on the bottom. Then the bottom one had leg cuts made, and I made a special note. The long cut goes lengthwise. And let's see what else we got going on over here. Okay, the side bracing, I recorded with the side bracing. I've got, you can see the lengths of each one. That's 29, that's 28. Then there was an inside and an outside brace. And I had those arranged so that they actually meet up with the bottom platform. And the reason for that was between the top and the bottom platform, I was proposing eventually on maybe not this particular benchwork, but on subsequent benchwork, the plan is that there may be a staging yard so that there would be another platform in here. So I wanted to make sure there was room from this one to this one above the side bracing where I could slide another platform onto the legs. And I also recorded the bracing information on this. And then finally, a little discussion about the side braces, those side brace pieces that are lengths, how long they were. And they're 45 cuts. The angles weren't that complicated. The angles on these guys were a little more complicated, and I got them at the angle 37.5 inches for top and bottom. So 45 and 45 on these, and a little discussion about that, but put the bolts in the two of the side braces. So got this one complete, so we're going to move on to some DCC discussions, and that'll be probably will be more fun for me because I got to tell you, putting this platform together, working out all of the issues that I encountered was quite a geometric challenge as well as a skill challenge, because My carpentry skills are just awful. Thanks for viewing. I know this was a long episode, but I promise you the next one's going to be about DCC. So those of you who are keenly interested in electronics, I'll try and show you what my DCC monitor is doing and a little bit about why.